Hello there people, hope you all are doing well. So this is the Kayaan Classic from the house of Wataniah. Now this has been with me for the last 2 weeks and I did my first impressions a few weeks back to tell you how it smells, how, what is the presentation of the fragrance, how it comes, how heavy the bottle is and all of those things. And I have let it sit for the last 2 weeks for it to macerate and open up and this is supposed to be a clone of the popular Dior Homme Intense. So obviously one of the most popular things about this particular fragrance, or the reason why I got this, is the hype train that's behind this particular fragrance, saying that this is supposed to be a DHI clone on steroids. Now for the last few days I've been wearing it regularly and testing it in the evenings and in the mornings to understand what exactly is the performance of this particular fragrance and if that hype train is true, right? So on this particular video you're going to watch or basically get to understand what's the scent profile, how close is this to the OG, and mainly what's the performance like on this particular fragrance. All of that on this particular video. So right after this introduction, you're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get started. Right, so let's do a couple of sprays of this particular fragrance, and you can just see the sprayer also. So let me do. It's a nice sprayer, very strong, very good, and the cap is like superb, right? And let's also do a couple of sprays of the OG as well, and this is just for my feeling, right. So first of all, so like I said, this is a clone of the Dior Homme Intense and it is a very good clone from that point of view. So no doubt about it. If you talk about the notes of this particular fragrance, you're basically going to get lavender, iris, you're going to get a little bit of cedar, you're going to get ambrette, and you're going to get pear and all of that. So it's a very beautiful fragrance that opens up with the iris, lavender, aromatic, powdery, talcum kind of a scent profile with a lipstick kind of a note profile, right? So the lipstick note is, like I said, it's basically, if you think about a woman's fragrance bag where you have compact powders, you have lipsticks, you have a lot of those makeup items, and when you open up that bag and sniff it, you get a kind of aroma. That's what the lipstick aroma is all about. Now when you particularly smell this particular fragrance and when you smell the OG, it's almost alike, right? You won't believe it how close it is to the OG in terms of the scent profile and the opening part of it. It is really close, good to about 90-95% easily, right? It's that very close. What it misses is there is this a little bit of that sweetness that comes in the OG, okay, which is got a little bit of punch, right? That punch element is kind of missing in this particular fragrance. That is the most important part that I felt in the opening part, which is missing. But aside to that, if you take out that ambrette pear punch that you kind of get on this particular fragrance, everything else is fantastic about this particular fragrance in terms of its scent profile. So from the time you wear it on, you keep getting those lovely whiffs of that powdery violet, iris kind of a lavender kind of a vibe throughout, and it keeps continuing till the OG. The OG, like I said, has got just that slight element which is what is differentiating. Otherwise, if you think about all of the other alts that have been on this particular market, especially in the recent times, if you look at Maison Alhambra's Dark Door Intense, and if you look at Pandora's Camaro Intense, they all have lacked one element. And in terms of that scent profile, this particular fragrance is so accurately done, very well done. So that is another reason where the hype train holds true in terms of its scent profile. So if you see a lot of reviews on YouTube, they will talk to you about saying how close it is, and it is true that it is very close to the OG in terms of its scent profile, right? So scent profile is kind of sorted, right? Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is basically the performance of this particular fragrance and how it goes. Now the DHI, in my opinion, lasts about 5 to 6 hours time, and it is not a loud fragrance. It's not a beast mode kind of a fragrance. It's a fragrance that's got a very soft bubble, and probably for the first 35-45 minutes it kind of projects well, and then it becomes more of a skin scent and it continues to linger around that, right? So it's one of those fragrances that you will most likely think that you are not getting any whiffs about it after about 45-50 minutes time, but you will actually, every time there is a fresh air that hits you, or you move around, and then you will smell this particular fragrance. But if you're going to be sitting stationary in one particular place, and then if you try to sniff it, you will think, okay, I'm not really getting that kind of projection and all of that. That's the case with the fragrance. However, I think the Dior Homme Parfum is really good. It punches a lot of punch, but the Dior Homme Intense is a lot more softer. Now, again, on this particular fragrance, you would need to do about 8 to 10 sprays to really understand and get an opening of it, right? Now, that element, when you consider with Kayaan Classic, is also kind of true, right? So this is also a fragrance that you will keep getting whiffs all throughout. In fact, I will tell you that I've calculated the time. 8 o'clock in the morning, if I've worn it, and about till 2 o'clock, I could easily smell it on my clothes. It's been there. The first 1.5 hours has been very loud, and after that, it's been kind of, softening. Right now, when you do the same thing on skin, I have not got that kind of a performance. On skin, I would have got about 3.5 4 hours. After 3.5 4 hours, I don't really smell it on my skin at all. But on apparel, I've easily had it for about 6 to 7 hours time. Even later, when you sniff it up close, you will be able to sniff. So that is one very clear indication that at least on my skin, this particular fragrance is not really projecting that well, but on apparels is definitely lasting for a much longer time, which is 6-7 hours, which is really, really good. Now, the most biggest part about this particular component of this particular fragrance was that it's supposed to be a beast mode steroids kind of a performance, right? Now, to be very honest, I don't get that performance at all. I've worn this like multiple number of times, and in fact, I delayed the review of this particular video just to check if there is, maceration time required for this particular bottle or whatever. But from the time I've worn this fragrance, from the first time I got it to now, it has always remained the same. It has not really changed in terms of its performance. It is not a beast mode performance, in my opinion. Now, there could be multiple reasons. One, it could be reviews that are probably not very genuine, and reviews that are basically telling you that these are steroid potent beast mode kind of a fragrance. Could be one that. Second, I feel that more likely the reason could be that it's not, there's a batch issue, right? Now, maybe those batches that came out in the last 6 months, 7 months time may be doing really, really well, and the batch that we have got, which is if I'm not wrong, this is made in UAE. I'll check for the box. We can check for the box in terms of batch. Now, the batch on this particular fragrance talks about December 2023, which is basically this last month, right? So I think this could be one of the reasons why this particular fragrance isn't performing as such compared to the previous videos that are mostly about 6-7 months back, right? So that is definitely one part that I was kind of a little disappointed, saying it's not that beast mode of a performer. But then I'm not really taking the negative points away from this particular fragrance for this simply because it is doing exactly like how the OG is supposed to be, right? It's not going and performing much better than the OG. It is exactly on those lines. So that way, it is a really good clone, right? So because the scent profile is nice, the performance is much longer in terms of lasting. It is not a beast mode fragrance, just like the OG, but it is still a decently soft to mild projection kind of a fragrance. All of that is got right? So that element is fine. Now, another place where I really think this particular fragrance does much better than the two other alternatives that I spoke to you about, which is Dark Door Intense and Camaro Intense, is Dark Door Intense, which I reviewed a few weeks back, and Camaro Intense also I did quite close by. So I know the notes and what the fragrance was and where the weak points for this fragrance were. So Camaro Intense's biggest problem was that it was great in terms of scent profile, but it was very poor on performance, hardly 3.5 hours time. Camaro Intense, on the other hand, performed really well, 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours easy. And the prominent note on that was the iris, but the other part was a little different. Okay, so the note scent profile, I would say that was close to about 85-90%, but the performance was a little low. Now, that is where Kayaan Classic really holds up its, flagship, and that it does really well is that part. The scent profile is really, really good. And of course, the performance is also good, right? So those two elements are definitely there, right? Now, plus, if you look at the presentation, if you compare Camaro's bottle and if you look at Dark Door's bottle and all of that, I would say this particular bottle and the presentation is top notch, because this bottle is super heavy and this cap is really heavy. If you were to drop this cap on a glass or something, you are sure going to break that particular item, right? Wow, that was quite close, right? So this is really, really good in terms of its presentation. Plus, this box is also really good. It comes in this majestic, magnetic sleeve. So the box presentation overall, it's a very, very good quality alt that there is available for DHI clone, right? So if you're a fan of DHI DNA like me, who and you don't really want to spend a bomb on getting the OG, and you want a fragrance that's very, very close to the OG, or you want to layer it with the OG, then definitely I would recommend you to pick up Kayaan Classic. This should be priced roughly about 1900, 1950 or less than 2000 rupees on most Facebook sellers. I will share the details of I got it from Smell Good, which is basically Syed, and I will share his details in case you want to pick up this particular fragrance, right? So that has been my review about Kayaan Classic, and I really think it's a fantastic clone of the Dior Homme Intense DNA. minus albeit the performance of beast mode that is being hyped about. That is not the case, at least so I think, because of the badge. Maybe this particular fragrance can sit in somebody's closet after 6 months and they can revisit and see if it performs any better. But I am very happy with the way the scent profile is and the lasting of this particular fragrance. So definitely good job done by Wataniah in terms of doing a very good clone of Dior Homme Intense. In the next few days, I'm going to bring videos about, like the top 5 oud fragrances. Like that, I'm planning to bring up, top 5 or top 10 barbershop fragrances, maybe boozy fragrances and leather fragrances. If you want to see something like that, do pass your comment on and let me know, what is that you would like to watch, right? So until that time, you're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Take care. Bye now.